Hi, Nitin. Let's take a look at this new set of essays you've sent to us. Here we go. Getting married and having children in your 30s. Here's what you said. Experts, plural experts, not just expert in general. Experts throughout the developed and developing world have debated on the age of marriage and having children. Some believe that 30s is the perfect age. That's awkward. Some believe that over 30 is the perfect age. That makes more sense. Here you need contrast because you've got one thing saying this, but then you've got an opposite point of view here. So you need, however, personally I strongly disagree. This essay will argue that one's, apostrophe S, 20s is the correct age to start a family, using examples from the UK government, Oxford University, and local newspaper, and a local newspaper, or local newspapers plural, to demonstrate points and prove arguments. On one hand, there is ample evidence that 30s is... All right, I'm not going to correct this again. It's a mistake you keep making, so I'll just correct everything else, but it's awkward. We say that in one's 30s or that over 30. Those are two ways you could say this. So, on one hand, there's ample evidence that one's 30s is the correct age to get married and have children. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, in one's 30s, most people reach a senior level in their profession, become financially stable, so they can support the family and children's, apostrophe S, education. We never use the word kids in an IELTS essay. It's far too informal. For example, a recent article in London's newspaper states that the cost of living, including primary education, has increased drastically, in the recent past, and only people who are in their 30s and are at a senior level in their career can afford to start a family. Secondly, people who are 30 plus are mature enough to understand their partner's viewpoint and are also responsible enough to raise a child. To exemplify, a recent empirical research, we don't say a research because it's uncountable, done by the UK government, demonstrated that 90% of all marriages which happen between people aged 30 years or more last for a lifetime, and such people become better parents. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that one's, apostrophe S, 30 is the correct age for marriage and having children. Let's see, on the other hand, here you need a the. On the other hand, although there is a case for one's 30s being a better age for getting married and having, ing, a child, the benefits of starting a family at a younger age cannot be overstated. This is largely because of two reasons. Firstly, at a younger age, humans are more open to change and easily adopt the lifestyle modifications happening, ing, due to marriage and a newly born child. For example, research without the A done by Oxford University shows that 85% of parents of a newborn baby, one word, get only 2 hours of sleep on average, which is feasible only for parents younger than 30 years of age. Here you need the word of. Secondly, due to a smaller generation gap between the child and younger parents, they develop a long-lasting relationship based on mutual understanding. To illustrate, a recent report published in Delhi's local newspaper states that 95% of children who were born to parents younger than 30 years old have a friendly relationship with THEIR, mother and father, for the whole life. Thus, it is possible to state beyond doubt that the age between 20 and 30 years is better to start a family. From the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that ages S younger than 30 years are better for getting married and having, ing, a child. Okay, so I think you can pretty much guess what I'm going to comment on. It was that your grammar had mistakes in pretty much every single sentence, okay? So there was consistently something wrong with the grammar. There were tons of missing articles. There were things that weren't plural that should have been, but really it was a lot of those articles, some missing INGs. So I feel like I corrected just about every sentence in this essay. Is that enough to get a really low score? Well, I mean, it's not grammar that creates a strain necessarily, but I do have to stop and correct every single sentence. So that's something to consider for sure. In any case, the errors are frequent, and so an examiner will certainly look at that and will score your grammatical range and accuracy accordingly. Now, other than that, here you talked a little bit about marriage. So you mentioned this thing about partner's viewpoint and having a child. Here it was kind of vague whether you were talking about just children or both marriage, but I felt like I was okay with here. What I wasn't super happy with was that in this paragraph, even though you mentioned marriage, your examples only focused on having children. And so it feels like that's really where you're putting most of your emphasis. I would have liked to have seen something specifically about marriage as well, okay? Other than that, it was fine. Coherence and cohesion were not problematic at all. Let's see. One little thing that I want you to be careful about is about having too many of these cohesive devices at the beginning of your sentences. So this is fine where you have this, but then look at this. You say, for example, secondly, to illustrate, thus. Okay, so it's a lot of this. It's like almost in every sentence. So on the one hand, for example, secondly, to exemplify, therefore. So it's a lot of them. Well, actually, the therefore is okay because it's not in the beginning of the sentence. But you do have quite a few of them, so I want you to be careful about it, especially when they're at the beginning. All right, that's quite a bit about this essay, so let's take a look now at your second one. And here it is. It's the letter of complaint to the restaurant. Let's see what you said. Dear Sir, Madam, I'm writing this letter to show my disappointment I had last night while having dinner at your restaurant. This displeasure is a result of chain of event happened during my birthday celebration. Okay, again, grammar. Look at this. I'm writing this letter to show my disappointment with the dinner I had at your restaurant last night. So you can't say my disappointment I had last night. It's very awkward, and you would never express yourself like this. So you would have to change the word order around a little bit. This displeasure is the result of a chain of events which happened during my dinner celebration. Okay. I came with 6 of my friends to celebrate my birthday. Firstly, to my surprise, there was no one to assist in seating, by the way, S-E-A, and we had to wait for 15 minutes before getting a table. This is awkward here. I mean, you've got almost like two different sentences here, but all you've done is connect them with firstly, which doesn't really work. So I would either probably separate them, okay? Okay. Secondly, only 3 of 9 dishes ordered were served after 45 minutes of taking the order. Starters were served at the end, and 3 dishes were never served. When we escalated this issue with the head server, he simply ignored, with a D, it's past tense, and presented, ED, the food bill to us. The bill also contained, ED, the charges for the items which were not served. We had a really bad experience yesterday. I don't really care for that sentence right there. It doesn't really fit. You should have linked it better, or you should have placed it elsewhere. I am enclosing a copy of the receipt I paid and suggest I be given a full refund. I also would like, because it's a formal letter, so you don't say things like I want, I would like you to take serious action against the head waiter so that such incident never repeats in itself in the future. Now, the sincerely is wrong. You started out with your Sir, Madam, therefore you have to end your letter with yours faithfully. It's one of the conventions of formal letter writing. When you don't know the name of the person you're writing to, you finish your letter with yours faithfully. Okay? You covered all the points. That's fine. You certainly gave details. No real problems there. Just some awkwardness and some grammatical errors. Okay? So take care of those and all of the other errors in the previous essay. Return them back to us corrected, and let's see what you write in your next set. I'll be looking forward to it. Good luck.